Binge eating. So these are my 5 tips to help you overcome binge eating. Tip number 1 is identify why. So if you're a person that sits down at night and you feel like you're going to just say, I'm just going to have 1 square of chocolate, and 5 minutes later you've eaten 10 bars of chocolate, there's usually a reason why this is happening. And 9 times out of 10 it's because your diet is too restrictive. So you're not allowing yourself these small treats to keep yourself on track, and then when you do get a taste of sugar or do get a taste of carbs, you just lose all control and you can't stop and you keep going, keep going, keep going. So the real easy way to try sort this out is just increase your calories slightly. So instead of overdoing it or trying to underdo it, just find that middle ground where you can sustain and you're not going to feel deprived every day. Tip number 2 is a restrictive mindset. Instead of thinking of all the foods you can't have, so instead of thinking about chocolate and McDonald's or whatever you really want but you can't have it, start thinking about the foods you can have. So add more of your lean proteins such as meats, add more vegetables, add more fruits into your diet and start enjoying all of them foods instead of thinking about all the bad stuff you can't have. Tip number 3 is your environment. So have a look at what's around you. Again, 9 times out of 10, usually what sets off a binge is stress. So say you have a fight with your husband or your wife, or your boss gives out to you in work. If you find you go home and try to numb out your feelings by eating, you need to address this. You either need to address the person that's setting off your stress, or you need to address it yourself and say, well, I'm not going to numb my feelings with food, I'm going to find a new way to deal with this additional stress. Tip number 4, again, is your environment. Have a look what's in your press. If you're keeping 10 Easter eggs and 20 bars in your press, it's setting you up for a binge. Whereas if in your press you've got healthy options, it's going to be far easier to stay on track. So instead of surrounding your environment with all these bad foods, make sure you surround your environment with all good foods. And my final tip number 5, is something called the 80-20 rule. This is something I use myself and something I get a lot of my clients to use. And it's where you think about taking 80% of your diet from whole nutritious foods and 20% of your diet from bad foods that are not bad foods. I don't like to label foods as bad, but from foods that you think you can't have, such as your chocolates or whatever you crave. Some people it's cheese or whatever you have. So try and think about taking 80% from good foods, 20% from bad foods, and that's going to help you stay on track, as it's going to help keep away that feeling of deprivation and restriction. So they're my 5 tips, guys. As usual, if you have any more questions, comment below the video and I'll get back to you.